Right. I know. Well, that's the other thing. That's the other thing that's really, I like.
On so many levels, you can oppose this war. On a level of experience is another thing that's incredibly important. And somebody like John Laesch, who was a former naval intelligence officer, has a whole lot of experience to offer us in words of wisdom.
Thanks, Diane. I didn't really expect to speak today, but I scribbled some notes down and want to share some thoughts from you. My name is John Laesch, and I'm representing veterans not just against this war, but Veterans for Peace. And I want to just call out anybody else, just raise your hand, other people that have served in the United States military here. Thank you so much. I'm not just speaking as a veteran, but my brother also is a disabled veteran, and I appreciate the words of the Imam, because it doesn't just affect him, it affects his whole family, and he has 3 young kids. He's here today. The scars left with him are much deeper than my own. So when I speak, I'm thinking not just of him, but of all the families and the suicides that are going to come from this. Every war has a human cost. It's unmeasurable. And sometimes when we go to war, nobody ever asks, how are we going to pay for it? Nobody ever asks what's going to happen to those people that come back, that have served, or even what's going to happen to the innocent people that lose their lives on the other side of this war. So we've seen this ramping up, and we've seen this before. My first peace protest was in 2003 against the Iraq War. I was getting out of college at Illinois State University, and we camped out on a quad to send a message. That message wasn't strong enough to stop the war, and I want to point out that we're still in Iraq. 16 years later, we're still in Iraq. And I'm going to tell you how they're going to sell this to us. Drop a couple bombs, it'll be over, Iran will yield. It's not going to happen. This is a long-term occupation strategy. It's purposeful. I like to think that Donald Trump couldn't organize a one-car funeral, but there's a plan in place. We know there's a plan in place because the recent military budget that just went through had $22 billion more than the previous military budget. And that's just, that money has a purpose. And they plan on setting up camp in the Middle East for a long term. And there's going to be losers. We mentioned those losers already, but there's going to be big winners. The speculators on Wall Street that are trading oil are winning right now. They're making a ton of money. The military-industrial complex is winning right now. They're going to make a ton of money. They're salivating at the thought of dropping bombs and expending ordnance, and they don't care about the human lives and the human sufferings. So as we think about this and the human cost, I want to just propose something different than a $738 billion war bill with no strings, no restraints on an unhinged president. But here's a thought, and I'm going to wear just another hat. I served on the East Aurora School Board for 4 years. We lost 3 students in Iraq. And I talked to the Master Chief as a school, the Master Chief, we have the largest NJROTC program. And I talked to him about this and said, hey, these are poor kids going out to fight a rich man's war. What are we going to do about it? And he responded and said, look, this is the only chance that these kids are going to have at college. So here's a thought for you. Why don't we put that money in our education system and fully fund education instead of funding a war where kids are going to die on both sides of the aisle? As an intelligence analyst, every single brief that I gave began with the words General, Admiral. Our purpose here is to keep the Straits of Hormuz open because 70% of the world's oil flows through the Strait of Hormuz. We know what this war is about. We know what the long-term occupation is about. And let me just throw out another idea. A friend of mine, Vince Gaddis, and I did a calculation, back of the envelope. The $5 trillion that we've spent in Iraq and Afghanistan, $5 trillion, could buy every single American a Tesla. Base model, not the high-end leather, but electric vehicle, and we could get off our oil addiction. There's a radical thought, I know, radical thought. But these are just some ideas I'd like to share with you, and I think that it's going to take a change in Washington, a change in thinking and change in our priorities. And I hate to say it, but I wish that this was the last time we're going to be out here. It's not. This is going to get worse. Thanks everybody for coming out here. Thank you so much for being involved. We're going to have to do this again. I know it. I'll be here with you. Thank you.